Welcome to Pauli's place. I have a special question today. It's a pleasure to meet you, Rainbow Eagle.
Thank you. Kiitos.
You have an interesting picture there. Can you introduce yourself and what is all about that picture?
Okay. I am so happy to be here to let people know what I'm all about. Sometimes people, they put big names on Indian people, but in the old days, it was important to help our young people know just what their personal contribution was going to be, their personal vision. And then that gave them the authority and right to walk in that way. And so they always began with that vision or that dream that the Creator has given. And then you put your life in that vision. And so my vision and purpose has 4 parts. One is to be with and visit with lots and lots of Indian people and be around a lot of different tribes and to honor them. Number 2 is to visit the elders. I am Okla Choctaw from Oklahoma. And in the old days, you could only visit the elders in that village or in a small place. Now we get a chance to be able to learn from a number of traditions. And so number 2 was to visit the elders. Number 3
Can
was...
you explain to Finnish people what does the elders mean? What is the meaning of that?
Elders would be those who have more years than other people. And so they would be those who have moved out of the parenting age into the older age of being available for people to come and visit. So they were the older people.
Can we say that we are elders now?
I think so. I'm working hard to be an elder. I'm only 75 years young. But the part of that is that you can be an elder in your older years, but it was the people who decided who they wanted to come and visit. They would respect elders, but oftentimes there would be those special ones that you felt comfortable in being around, and they became a good friend to you. And so you selected your particular elder there. So that's number 2, is to visit the elders. Number 3 was to conduct certain ceremonies and to conduct them whenever there was a reason for or a need. You just didn't have a ceremony every Friday night or every Sunday morning. You waited until there was a spiritual reason to have a ceremony. Number 4 is, in my vision from the Creator, was to sit in the teacher's chair. And that's very important for the people to know that I am Rainbow Eagle, not a chief. I am not a spiritual leader for any particular tribe. I'm not a healer. I'm not all of these kinds of things called a shaman. I am Rainbow Eagle, and I walk in that vision of 4 parts. And I have come to Finland. This is my 21st time to come and teach. And one of your questions to me was, why Finland?
Yes.
Well, it seems like the people want more and more about the philosophy or the spirituality of the Native American people. So as a teacher, I can give just a little bit and then a little bit more. And about half of the classes I see over and over again, so I can give a little bit more depth to that. So from the teacher part of my vision, I have been given this old drawing that was hidden and out of place for about 300 years, because America went through quite a history of colonization.
Yeah.
And it was important that new ideas came to Indians, and the old ideas were pushed away or even taken out or destroyed. And so this old drawing called the Peace Shield was kept out of sight until what later in prophecy of the lighting of the seventh fire, that time would indicate that the systems that came would make an opening for indigenous information to come out, and the ceremonies and rituals to be allowed, because it wasn't allowed for nearly 300 or 400 years. Finally, United States Congress passed a Religious Freedom Act in 1978, and that seemed to be the door opening for that seventh fire that is a part of this old drawing. You see here 6 fires, and then this is the seventh fire, and that's what indigenous people of America were waiting for, a time when their culture would be allowed to come back. And so this drawing represents what could be called the teachings of Mother Earth. All of the indigenous people would grow up in a village of their particular nation. That could be Apache Nation or Lakota or Choctaw or a particular tribe. What helped to keep their balance, because tribes could begin to feel like they are the best, it was the teachings of Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And so that helped the Indian people to maintain a respect for other systems, because Mother Earth would remind the teachers of this drawing would remind Indian people that the Creator's love and like gravity of Mother Earth is equal upon all people.
Yeah.
And so that equality was an important idea, and that in nature there's various species, and each one is to be respected for how they are and whatever their nature is. And so Mother Earth teachers were helpful to help tribal people come into balance as a reminder of what could be their tribe spirituality and balanced with Mother Earth spirituality. So I grew up pretty much like most of our native people, getting an education, and pretty soon people began to ask me more and more questions beyond my tribal blood, and so I saw the need to go and visit the elders and to be able to have that kind of background to give attention to a number of questions from a number of different tribal systems, and spent quite a long time visiting some 45 reservations and lots of grandmas and grandpas. And one of those that called me to his home was what would be called the last Peace Shield teacher. And he kept this drawing hidden for a long time, until finally the 1978 Religious Freedom Act and the lighting of the seventh fire.
How many years it was hidden?
Well, it was a tradition that would be somewhere around 1,200 years long, but the prophecies, and the prophecies are a part of this south part, prepared the Indian people for life was going to change. So that's where the seven fire prophecy would prepare the Indian people that there would be a time when they would need to move from the east part of America and to find new homes.
Yeah.
Because there was going to be first, there would be the light skin race, and then the black skin and the yellow, and then they're going to be bringing some new ideas. So that's the tradition of those who were called Peace Shield teachers that were basically around the Great Lakes. If you kind of know some of the 5 Great Lakes here,
Yeah.
and the eastern coast. I'm
Yes.
kind of doing this so that the
Yeah.
map is so the audience can understand. And so a long time ago, there were 7 prophets that came out of the water and prepared the Indian people for life was going to change. And the first fire prophet, that's this first one right here, said that you're going to need to move. If you don't move, then you're going to be destroyed. And then the second fire prophet said, for a while you're going to be camped by the thundering waters, which would be Niagara. And then the third fire prophet said you would finally find your home where there would be food that would grow on top of the water, which is wild rice. And in the fourth fire prophet would indicate that company is going to come. And then the fifth fire prophet said that there's going to be a lot of struggle for Native American people, and that the elders would die young and very sad because of all the changes that would take place there. And then the sixth fire prophet said a new illness would come, which is the alcohol.
Yeah.
That affected each person's look at life. Because, like I've mentioned, it was important for a person to have a personal identity. So in many ways, Native American spirituality was more of an individual spirituality rather than a group. And what came across the water was more of an understanding of what a group religion would be like. For here, it was walking in one's personal vision and personal contribution to village. And when that sixth fire took place, it destroyed that individual walk. But there was a promise that the seventh fire would finally come, and we saw that take place, you know, with the 1978 Religious Freedom Act. So this is an old drawing that the Peace Shield teachers of long ago would often come and then remind people rather than teach. Now it's being taught because it's been gone for so long. And lots of times it was just marked on the ground, and it was taught in that kind of way. And then later on, you know, heights began to be available and colors began to be useful, to where this drawing is presented in this kind of way. So that's the tradition of the Peace Shield teachers tradition within a large family group called the Anishinaabe. They include a number of tribal people and tribes and nations of Anishinaabe, and then there's the Ojibwe, and then there's Chippewa, and a number of other tribes with that. So as it became open for the seventh fire, the Peace Shield teacher called me to his home for 2 winters to learn about the teachings of this old drawing, so that someone would be able to get out and about and make that seventh fire prophecy happen. So this has taken place, and it took me a while for my own spiritual balance, so that I could have my walk beside my wife, who would understand, and also she is a Peace Shield teacher as well, so that this tradition could help whoever, those who have a particular tradition, that Mother Earth has some teachings for us. And of course, you may recognize how much that Mother Earth is active now.
Yeah.
So in some ways, she's trying to say there is something for us to think about,
Yeah.
not just because of things that are happening to her, but because there are teachings that could be helpful if they are brought forward. So if I were to have some kind of title, it would be Seventh Fire Peace Shield Teacher, and not any other titles, because it is a personal walk rather than representing a particular tribal system. So there's a start for you to understand, and we'll see what other question you might have.
Have you ever thought why Finns are so interested in this?
Well, I think that now there seems to be a number of people who have either a past lifetime of feeling within a natural lifetime. And there are those who are called Findians, yes, that I mentioned to you, that it's not that I am trying to put something on people, as it is they keep asking me to come back.
Yes.
And this is the 21st trip. It is helpful to have one of my books in the Finnish language, so that I don't have to have much time to be here to teach, and people can learn from the material. So the seventh fire was that the teachings of Mother Earth was to go to, in the seventh fire, all humans who might be interested in how they might find their spirituality balanced. There's another part of that seventh fire, and that is that we are reaching a point where we are a lot more conscious about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And in the seventh fire prophecy, it is said that it can be some things from indigenous people around the world that can help us to begin to know how to come into relationship with the cosmos and with the universe. That there are pieces of many traditions, the old traditions, that can help us begin to prepare for that relationship. So the peace shield and many other indigenous information is now being put before us, and all of those are interesting pieces that can help us get ready for a bigger picture, which is now we see a time when we can begin to reach into other places and to reacquaint ourselves with what has already happened a long time ago. Because prophecy is often seen in a cyclical way.
Yeah.
And how that in cycles, there has been previous times we have reached this particular point, and that the indigenous knowledge can help us to know where we go from here. So Finland seems to be asking me to return whenever I can. My wife and I are retired. We're not sponsored by any agency. We put the money out to get here and get back, and then just as things have worked out for a long time, classes can pay for the plane ticket, and I can fulfill the seventh fire prophecy in this location. And this is, I think, about the 37th time I've come across the water to Italy and Germany and Denmark and places like that. So the material certainly helps the fulfillment of the seventh fire prophecy, and then being able to go is now a possibility these days.
You mentioned cosmic. Have Indians met cosmic people?
There's lots and lots of Indian nations. I think probably 9 out of the 10 would certainly have a background of relationships in the old days. And I think that even today there are those who have an ongoing relationship with cosmic beings, because they are family that perhaps have been where that Indian person has been before coming here.
Yeah.
And so there is that awareness of helpfulness with a previous cosmic place of being. Now, Indian people have a number of origins. So there are stories of first coming from under the ground up, and there are stories of coming from the stars, and there are stories of coming across the water, and there are stories that are opening up to maybe they came by way of a craft of some kind. That was their origin, was that. So there's lots of different stories in that way.
How do you explain this, that Indian people have met cosmic people? Because the truth of government is there is no life outside Mother Earth.
And I believe that even in our lifetime, that's changing fast. Because even the scientists now are saying that there's at least 100 billion places in the universe that have the potential of life. And I think that's going to be more and more aware. We're going to be finding out more and more that there is life out there. So in our short lifetime, it has gone very fast to a cosmic picture. Now, indigenous people, that means around the world, seem to have a connection with Mother Earth, that there would be coming a time when planet Earth would have a particular reason and a contribution to the universe. And that's a part of the teachings of Mother Earth, is that when company came, there seemed to be a disregard for Mother Earth. It was like Mother Earth was placed here as a place of punishment, as a place of lowering, of a place of less importance. And so a part of what needs to take place is that if we were a cosmic being looking at planet Earth, the indigenous people are saying planet Earth is a place where we can learn to balance our spirituality with the concept of duality. That the Creator has designed this place for us to understand that everything is two. That's the teaching of the eagle feathers, is everything is in duality. Right and wrong, good and bad, male and female, hot and cold, water and land. And that duality, again, is the balancing of what we grew up with and how Mother Earth can assist our spiritual balance. So the indigenous people are trying to remind us that it is here. Another contribution is that this location assists our spirituality with lots of emotions. There are places out there where life is very, very strong in the mental ways, but planet Earth is where we are to experience lots of different seasons, a time for this, a time for that, and how to put all of these emotions into our spiritual strength again, instead of shifting some as bad and some as good. All emotions have the potential of bringing some kind of spiritual strength here. Another purpose for this particular planet is the beauty of the creation, that indigenous people know the teachings that come from nature, the teachings that the Creator has placed. It's a library. And so actually, in short, the teachings of nature is actually helping us to understand the cosmos, because nature has diversity, the cosmos has diversity. Nature has unique ways of being, like the bear has its way and the wolf has its way. Same is true with the cosmic beings. They have their particular unique nature, learning to be able to be understanding and to not judge. As we would take a walk in nature, it's learning to understand people and that they deserve to be where they're at for the lessons that they are there. And so that new energy that came across the water was an interesting one for Native American people, and that is trying to decide on who is more important and who is less and who's this way or that way, when nature already shows us that each one has their unique contribution, yes. Which means that's an easy step for us to begin to re-examine how we're going to come into relationship with the cosmos. Because the lighting of the seventh fire is learning how to be respectful for all life, everywhere. And that is kind of an important contribution, because there's going to be people who are going to start judging they're this way or that way because the way they look. And so it's an education that is going to need to take place. So that's a beginning, is how Indigenous people can give some of their previous experiences, yeah. Also to let people know that there has been an ongoing relationship with cosmic beings, whether you call them angelic or whatever, that has been going for a long time. Going for a long time.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
How has people taken this information when you are speaking about cosmic people? Do they believe you?
Well, I try to approach things in the old way, and that is the elder teacher is one who puts it on the table, and it's for whatever you feel like you want to bring to your life. So it's not even a teacher as it is an elder who is saying, here's some ideas that you may want to walk with for a while, and it's up to you. And so there's not an attempt to convince or to convert, as it is to bring ancient knowledge that has helped in the past to walk in a balanced way with our spirituality. I kind of call this a beautiful time of a spiritual buffet,
yeah.
Where we have the opportunity of looking at a number of cultures, indigenous knowledge, and find something that we would like to walk with, or something that fits us.
Yeah.
Instead of one way,
yeah.
as it is a contribution of a walk in the woods, which is a variety of nurturing truths that we have the privilege of being able to have now.
Yes, and the people have a free choice what they can believe or what they don't believe in.
Yeah, and see, that word is an interesting word called belief. That word is not found in a tribal language.
Really?
That's right, because it was, here is an idea.
Yeah.
Whenever someone would visit the elder, even have a question like you have, the elder in the old days would say, well, here's my idea. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
And here's some experiences about the question you're asking, but you can decide for yourself what to do with that.
Yeah.
So see, those ideas and suggestions is not any kind of big wisdom or big belief, as it is, it encouraged a personal right to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
And that was a very strong concept in the old days, is as developing among young people, they have the right to decide for themselves. And the elders would say, there is no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's just how you learn from the different journeys. Come back and tell us what happened. And so they were not in a judgmental role at all, or even a deliverer of wisdom, because wisdom would almost make you think, well, I better do this, or I have to do this. That was something brought later in life.
How do nowadays people, does they believe in this teaching?
I'm assuming your question is about how do Indian people?
Both.
Or both. As you would begin to look to a natural way of seeing things, everything in nature is where they choose to be. You know, a rabbit chooses to be this, and a tree chooses to be that. And we are now in a place where whatever a person decides, that is their journey. If something hasn't worked for them, then they may be looking for some other ideas. And so some of these ideas may be helpful for them. And there are places, I think, that are opening to indigenous knowledge. Other places, they're fine where they're at. They have their path, they have their denomination. Now for me, I have a great respect and an opening for my particular relationship with Yeshua, which is an old Aramaic name for Jesus.
Yes.
And so I consider myself a one-half Okla Choctaw Native American, but I also, because of my studies, declare myself as a first century Christian, because there are a lot of ancient manuscripts that are helping Christian-minded people to explore that journey that we didn't have 50, 60 years ago. That, like ancient information here, there's lots of information like the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi, and the Sumerian tablets, and all the Gospels that are found. And so there is that which is actually coming from the arms of Mother Earth out of the ground that could provide a little different perspective if we wish for that.
Okay. Have you a special message to Finnish people?
A special message for Finnish people. Nature is already being made use of by Finnish people to come into the spirit and the natural energy of being themselves. And we are, I think, around the world beginning to help people to find what they're really all about and take courage to step into their particular individual spirituality. Certainly there is going to be denominations and groups and religions that's going to assist, but the balance of group religion is going to be an individual religion. In the Peace Shield, it talks about the individual power to be balanced with the tribal or the group. And so it's the balance of the group and the individual. So I would say that a lot of our Finnish people are well on the way than other places. That it takes courage to be able to move into places that really, it's like that Joseph Campbell, finding your bliss and finding your purpose in life. And I find that as one of the common themes is not to discount religion and congregational life, but to balance that with a personal empowerment that you can walk individually in a powerful way. And that's going to take a while, because the lighting of the seventh fire is a pretty lengthy time. It's not that quick 2012 business, because a lot of the Maya, and I've sat with them, they're not too happy with the use of some of their prophecy when the rest of the prophecy indicates a much bigger understanding. Another question. Okay.
No, I have a thank you for very much.
Okay, I hope I've been helpful a little bit.
Yes.
And people can look into rainboweagle.com. And my wife and I are kind of like the elders that instead of just village life, we get telephone calls, we get emails, and we get to travel around.
Okay.
It's a neat and a fun life. So I appreciate this time that you've made possible for me.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Kiddos, kiddos.